anxiety juice. Freshly squeezed. Woo!
I'm gonna make myself some tea, Dad. Is that okay?
It can take a lot to leave an entire life and a very comfortable life with, you know, you live in a place for 24 years and you're integrated, and to leave that behind and in the hope that it will get better, you have to have some sort of contentment in the difficult transition.
That's what I'm saying, it's a trap beat. This is a trap beat waiting to happen, bro. You need one of those, you need an 808 with one note that's an octave lower than it needs to be. Quick hands.
You play the Tokyo Drift? The whole EP is entitled What Do You Hear Underwater? And it was about the transition I experienced moving from Durban to Johannesburg. In Durban, I'd been a musician from about the age of 8 or 9 and played in shows, been in musicals, toured the country, started a studio when I was 22 and did music full time, or at least it was a predominant part of my life. And I moved to Johannesburg to be an attorney. And I tried hard to keep that part of my life going, and I just couldn't. I couldn't make music, tried to start a studio. I didn't have time, didn't have energy, and I felt this sort of like sense of sludge, the sense of suspension, a sense of not really being able to like hear or see properly what I wanted to do. And that was the title of the EP. That sort of feeds into the narrative of the EP. But the EP is a sort of, it's a transition. It's a journey from the death of that music making part of my life all the way to the end, which is a sort of celebration of the fact that it came back eventually after about 2.5 years of being in Johannesburg. The two tracks that we're performing, the first is Dirge. It's the first track on the EP. Dirge, of course, is a funeral song. It's a march. It's a piece. It's a very mournful sounding piece. It's very melancholic, and it's about the death of me making music in Durban and that sort of thing, you know. It's almost like a celebration of the death of a part of my life. Very mournful, but very hopeful. About the sort of the realization that that part of my life was over, and it took a while to get there.
was beautiful.
You fun, take it.
Overwhelmed. Don't know.
Yeah, right there.
It's a lot. I wrote that melody in my bed. And now there are like 10 million horns playing. It's wild. Feeling good. We've rearranged the 2 tracks to include 3 and in one case 4 horn parts. So Clem and Jude did the rearrangements of the pieces. And we've brought in some wonderful session musicians. So on Doge, there's Julian van Rensburg on bass and Dom Hurd on guitar. I play guitar, Jude on drums, Clem on sax, and then we have 3 great horn players, Rokete Nkotsi on trombone, Rwanda Gogwana on flugelhorn and trumpet. We have Banj singing vocals, and Sasaki Kanti on sax. Some incredible players there. We've just had our first rehearsal. It's sounding unbelievable. It's like quite overwhelming to hear the new parts, and also to hear these players play melodies I wrote, in my bed whilst I was very sad. The second track is Johannesburg Finally in 3 parts. I wrote the main parts, and I had the idea for the song sometime in 2018, but it only really came to fruition in May 2020 during lockdown. And it's actually written by 3 of us, by me, Jude, and Clem. I had written sort of broad idea of the song, and I had an idea of the broad movement of the piece. And I called Clem up on a Saturday. I said, "Come over. We're going to record this track." And we did it. It was done in one day in the lounge, and it's all live. The recording. It's an 8-minute single performance. And Clem overdid some sax parts on the big C section. And that song for me was a celebration of. It's the 3rd track on the EP, but it's a celebration. It's like Johannesburg. Finally, it's almost like, thank God, finally found that community and joy again. So it's quite incredible to be playing those 2 pieces with Clem and with Jude, but now with some incredible musicians. What's the word? Not happiness, but some contentment with the difficulties of transition. It can take a lot to leave an entire life and a very comfortable life with, you live in a place for 24 years and you're integrated, and to leave that behind and in the hope that it will get better, you have to have some sort of contentment in the difficult transition. Which is why the image, the single cover, was me rowing into the sunset. It's the end of it. It's an end. The sun is setting. There's a sense of an end, but there's also a sense of a journey. It's quite incredible to sit here 3.5 years after I decided to move, and the things I really wanted to achieve when I imagined living here 4 or 5 years ago, those are now have come to fruition, and that's really satisfying to be surrounded by incredible musicians, great friends. To be able to make that joy again is wonderful.